Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be starting yet another reading vlog for you guys, and I am obviously very excited. So the first day of fall is in a couple of days, and obviously I have a lot of reading that I would like to do to celebrate the coming of a new season. Obviously I've already been doing reading to celebrate the coming of a new season, but this time it's like actually happening, so that makes it more fun. So I have a couple of books that I'm planning to read in this video. I'm also just planning to do some fun stuff throughout the week as well. I think it's also going to be a pretty gloomy week, which I am never mad about, so let me just jump into it by talking about my TBR, and then we will get on into the vlog. So I think I want to start with the book that I am the most excited about. I'm also so happy I finally have my hands on a copy of this because it was so hard to find somewhere that had this book. And that is If It Makes You Happy by Julie Olivia. This is a book that I have seen so many people talking about. They say it's like the perfect 90s rom-com Gilmore Girls vibe for fall. So I'm very excited to jump into this one. I mean, the cover alone is drawing me in. And I believe we're following our main character, Michelle, whose mother passes away at the beginning of this book, so she has to go and watch over her mother's B&B until her sister can come take it over in like 4 months. And she's a big city gal. She doesn't exactly do small town life, but obviously this B&B is set in like the most picturesque Vermont small town, and she enlists the help of her hot next door neighbor who is a baker. He's also a single dad, and I'm assuming, you know, romance ensues. So I am so excited to get into this one. I'm a little bit nervous though because it is like 500 pages, and I don't remember the last time I read a romance book that was that long. Actually, I don't know if I've ever read a romance book that was this long. But I have faith that this is going to be good. It says it's a slow burn romance set in the autumnal glow of 1997. Hello, thank you. Yes, I'm so excited about this one. And I think I'm going to be starting with this one today. Next up I have a book that was not on my radar at all, but it looked so fun and I absolutely love the cover of it, so I had to go ahead and buy a copy. And that is The Executioners 3 by Susan Dennard. I have heard of Susan Dennard before. I've never read one of her books, but I've heard of this author before. But this is a book that is set in this small town that may have this weird curse upon it. I believe we're following our main character Freddie as she is doing some investigating into some murders that have happened. She's also looking into this creepy old poem that she comes across, and I just feel like this is going to be such a fun YA murder mystery spooky situation. I just feel like it's going to be a good time. Next up I have a book that is on my 2025 TBR that I have been saving for this time of year, so it's finally time that I jump into The Once and Future Witches by Alex C. Harrow. I've really enjoyed the other Alex C. Harrow books that I've read, so I'm really excited to jump into this one and see what I think about it. I feel like I always talk about this book the same way, but it's like suffragette witches in the 1800s in New Salem. So I'm interested to see what she does with that concept. I do think I'm probably going to be listening to this book on audio. Oh, I didn't know this was blurbed by Laini Taylor. Did I already know that? I feel like I might have already known that. Anyway, but I think I'm gonna listen to this book primarily on audio because I did buy a new autumnal puzzle to work on. It is so beautiful. However, it is a 1,000 piece puzzle. Typically, I am not a 1,000 puzzle piece kind of person, okay? I like a good 500. I like being able to get it done within like 2 or 3 days, you know? Especially because we have 3 cats who love getting into everything, so like having a puzzle sitting out for a long time, not exactly a good thing, but this puzzle was so beautiful, I couldn't pass it up. So I'm gonna be working on that later, listening to my audiobook. I think I might do that today, so that'll be kind of nice. And then the final book I have on this TBR, I don't think I'm gonna read much of because I would like to primarily read this book in October, but I want to just get a little bit of a start on it, and that is The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. I mentioned this in my autumn reset video, I think, and so many of you guys were like, oh my god, that's like my favorite book, I'm so excited for you to read it. Guys, I am now so excited to read it as well. I was initially, but after all your glowing reviews, now I'm even more excited to jump into it. And this is obviously I think it's from like the early 1900s. It's a kind of, you know, gothic-y kind of classic that is about this ghost in the Paris Opera House. The first sentence of the blurb on the back says, rumors that a ghost stalks the dark passages and cellars of the Paris Opera, wreaking havoc, have been long rife among the staff and performers. That's not, maybe I should save most of this for October. I feel like I'm definitely going to be reading like maybe a chapter or 2 of this week. But I'm gonna jump into this primarily in October, but I want to get a start on it because every time I save a classic to read in fall, I never actually get around to it. But I'm gonna read this book this fall if it kills me. So hopefully I won't become, you know, the next Phantom of the Opera. But I've heard excellent things about this, so I cannot wait to get into it. And Winnie is at the door. Hang on, we have to let her in. Oh, she might just be letting herself in. Ma'am, you can't bust in and not say hi. Come here. Say hello and happy almost fall, Weenie. They're always so happy when I pick them up, aren't they? All right, fine. Here you go. But yes, these are the 4 books that I'm going to be starting, finishing, working on this week, and I'm so excited about all of them. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you're excited for all of the books that I'm reading. I hope you're also all having a stunning start to your fall. I hope it has been beautiful so far. So let's just get into it. As I said, I'm gonna be starting with If It Makes You Happy, and I will see you guys later with an update. So it is a lot later, but I'm back with some reading updates. I feel like I have done some great reading today. I also am joined by a friend. I don't know if you can see her, actually, but Daisy is, oh, I think you can see like the little edge of her face. Hello. She is sitting with me. But actually that's not the thing that I wanted to also tell you about. I need to show you guys my thrift find that I had today because I'm so excited about it. I, like any self-respecting thrifter and lover of trinkets, love the Lenox Spice Village. It is so cute. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, honestly good, because I'm always tempted to spend way too much money on it. I'm not going to because that's ridiculous, but I did not find it. Unfortunately, that's not what I'm gearing up towards, but I found tiny spice jars and I'm so excited about them. There are only 4 of them, which honestly I'm not too mad about because I don't really like the idea of moving spices to this secondary location. I don't know, I just feel like they stay fresher in their little containers, but they're still so cute, so I bought 4 of them. They had more, but I didn't really like the others quite as much. But I am slightly convinced that the roofs that are on some of these do not match like the rest of the house. I feel like the person who maybe had these before me didn't like match them up correctly, because I found a picture of these online and they don't match. So I'm like, interesting. Not that that matters, but anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent here. But look at how cute. So we have this little like market one. This is my favorite one, I think. We also have, there's another, oh yes, the bakery. Look at it. I could put little things in it. I have this unnamed house, just like a little house. I like the roof on this one with the gables, I guess they would be. And then this one I'm a little bit sad about. It doesn't have a stopper in it, so it does like, it doesn't fit together as securely as the other ones do, but it's also very cute. Although it's a bit like chipped at the top, so I don't know what they did to her, but I just love little trinkets, you know, so whenever I move out, these will be going in my kitchen. But for now, they're probably gonna reside somewhere on my bookshelf. But anyway, I'm not here to give you a thrift haul, but I was very excited when I found those. But I do have 2 reading updates, so that's mainly what we're here to talk about. I think the first thing I want to talk about is The Once and Future Witches. I have made so much progress in this book today. And because of that fact, I've also made so much progress in my puzzle today, although I dare say I've now done all the easy parts of the puzzle. So we'll see how the rest of it goes, but that'll be a project for some other time. Well, actually, it'll probably be a project for like the second half of this book. But as I said, I've read a lot of it. I'm now on page 297, so I really flew through this book. I am enjoying this book so far. I feel like if I was reading it physically, I probably wouldn't really want to continue. I know that sounds bad, but I really like listening to the audiobook. I enjoy the story enough that I would like to complete it. But like, it's not my favorite thing. It's definitely not a favorite Alex E. Harrow book of mine. Obviously that title still goes to Starling House. Big fan of that book. If you want an October book recommendation, you should read Starling House. But I like the concept of this one and I like what the book is trying to do, but in execution it's just not, you know, the most captivating thing. I don't know. I have, you know, like mixed feelings on it at this point. But in this book we were focused on 3 sisters, and in the very beginning you kind of see that the sisters, you know, they've grown apart over the years. They kind of all went down different paths. They're doing different things. But due to this event that happens at the beginning of the book, you kind of see them coming back together. I also really like that it pulls from the typical like 3 witchy sisters kind of thing, but it's like doing it in its own way. It's not like a cliche kind of way. But the main thing that we're focusing on in this book is the suffragette movement of the time and kind of how the sisters are interacting with it. Some of them, you know, are very gung-ho. They're like, let's get into it. I'm ready to cause some general mayhem. And some of them are like, I don't know if I want to, you know, like get into this. So we're kind of seeing how they're feeling about it, kind of getting some attitudes of maybe what women were thinking at the time, which is kind of interesting. But also in this book, the suffragette movement is very heavily tied to witchcraft, and it's kind of taking that very common idea of any woman that would want to take some semblance of control in her own life in society must be a witch. And in this case, it's kind of taking that very literally, with women fighting for the right to vote and men basically being like, no, put her in the stocks, you know what I mean? It's just terrible. It's just terrible because this actually happened. Obviously not the women actually being witches, but you know what I mean. But this is a book that is very strong in its themes. Obviously, you know, it's talking a lot about the misogyny of the time, but I do also really like how this book takes the time to focus on how all of this was also affecting women of color in a much deeper way, how it is affecting women of a lower social class in a much deeper way. So it's definitely taking this larger theme that is very present in a lot of media already, but kind of taking the time to focus more on the marginalized groups who these issues definitely affected even more. I also do just like the witchcraft that is in this book. It feels very much rooted in like typical folk tales, fairy tales, old stories, kind of things like that. In fact, at the beginning of a lot of these chapters, there will be like a line or a paragraph or a phrase from a typical like children's story, fairy tale, whatever, and then it will go on to list a spell that is related to that. So I think that's really cool. I also just like the dynamic between the sisters because they definitely have a lot of history. They had a rough home life. Their father was just a piece of trash human being. That definitely affected their childhood a lot, and obviously that is still affecting them into adulthood, but you can kind of see them coming back together, reconciling, finally being able to discuss some of the things that were happening to them as children, which I feel like is a really cathartic moment for them. So just like a lot of things going on in this book. I just wouldn't say it's like the most captivating thing ever. I just think it's a little bit long. This book is like 500 pages and it kind of feels like it's 500 pages, but I'm definitely going to continue to listen to this on audio. I feel like as the book has gone on, things are definitely escalating. The things that the suffragettes are doing are escalating, and so are the consequences that they're facing as well. So I'm just interested to see how this book is going to end. Obviously there is an evil figure who is running for, I don't know, maybe he's gonna be the mayor or something, and he may be the biggest hypocrite I've ever met, honestly. So I'm very interested to see what happens to him. I feel like I might know, but yeah, I feel, you know, this is fine. Not my favorite Alexi Harrow, but I'm enjoying it. So there's that. Not a glowing review so far, but I have good news though, because I've also started, as you saw, If It Makes You Happy, and I must say this book is making me happy. I am having the best time with it so far. I'm on page, what, 109? I just made it up to October 1997, and I just love the setup so far. I just feel like it's gonna be such a good romance book. I just feel like it's gonna be so fun. But in this book, we're following our main character, Michelle, who is moving to this small town in Vermont to kind of watch over the bed and breakfast that her parents used to run for the next 4 months until her sister can come and take it over. But in typical rom-com fashion, obviously she is a city gal. She lives in Seattle. She has, you know, this big time marketing, advertising job, whatever it is. And she has to move to this little town. She's not used to everybody knowing everything about everybody and everybody being so nice and like all of this stuff. So we're seeing her kind of adjust to that. We're also seeing her adjust to like running the B&B. One of my favorite things so far is the fact that she's just very much not cut out for running a B&B. She's a very kind of standoffish person. When you first meet her, she's very kind of closed off. She's not very personable, I guess, which doesn't exactly make running the B&B very easy. Nobody will sign the guest book. They don't really seem to like her. She keeps saying the wrong thing. The person who did write in the guest book was like, new management is fine. So it's not exactly going well. So she has to turn to her neighbor, who obviously is a hot single dad, and she's like, like, I need help. I don't, like, it's not going very well, basically. And her neighbor is this dude named Cliff who has 2 young daughters. I think one is 6 and one is 16 maybe. And he is very personable, he's very friendly, but he's also very like snarky, he's making a lot of jokes. Honestly, it kind of seems like Lorelai and Luke's personalities from Gilmore Girls, but swapped, obviously, which I do enjoy. Obviously, I'm a fan of Gilmore Girls, and there are a lot of, you know, Gilmore Girls-esque things going on in this book, if you can't tell by the cover, but I just like that. I like that, you know, our main character, Michelle, is kind of the grumpy one, because I feel like a lot of the time, it's the woman who's the very, like, bubbly and funny and personable kind of person, so I like that kind of subversion. But that's kind of the general setup for this book. Right now she's just getting acquainted with small town life. We're meeting a couple of the people that live in this town. Obviously they're all very like kooky, fun people. I love all the people that we've met so far. I'm very excited to read some more of this book. We are just getting into October, as I said, and I feel like we're gonna be doing some Halloween festivities. They already had a fall festival, and now we're moving into October, so obviously I'm so excited. I am loving it so far. I'm just having such a wonderful time with it. Normally romance isn't exactly my thing. I enjoy them every now and then, but it's not really a genre I reach for too much. But like this, absolutely. I'm just like, the fall vibes, the fall atmosphere is top notch so far. So this kind of feels like the perfect beginning of fall read, and fall does start in 2 days now. So hopefully this will be the first book that I finish in fall. I do think it's gonna take me a minute to like get through the rest of this, because even though it's a romance book, it's like 500 pages. But I just feel like this is gonna be the perfect cozy read. I'm definitely planning on reading a lot of this tomorrow. I might start one of my other books tomorrow too. I don't know, I just kind of want to read like everything right now. So I might jump into The Executioners 3. I also feel like that would be a really solid beginning of fall read. So we'll just see what I end up getting up to, but I wanted to give you guys, I was gonna say some quick reading updates. I do not think these were quick reading updates. But yeah, this one's going really well. this one's happening. I'm sorry, I don't know what else to say about this book, but anyway, I will see you guys, maybe on Monday, the first day of fall. I'm so excited. With some more reading updates. So it is now Monday morning. Also, I have a cat with me who does not usually come visit me. Come here. Boopy. Oh, do you want to come say hi? The answer is probably no, but we're gonna do it anyway. Oh, she's so happy. Anyway, it is currently Monday, the first day of fall. I am so excited, obviously. So I wanted to come on, give you guys a couple of reading updates and let you know what things I'm gonna get up to today, because obviously I want to have the most stunning first day of fall possible. But first, let me go through my plethora of reading updates that I have for you guys. I have quite a few. Oh my gosh, you're so needy this morning. She wants me to pet her so badly. But yeah, let us talk reading. So first of all, I have indeed been reading some more of If It Makes You Happy. I am now on page 265, so I'm a little bit over halfway through it, and I'm continuing to love it so much. I feel like it's gonna be a 5-star read. I feel like I might give it 5 stars. I feel like it's very rare that I want to give romance books 5 stars, but obviously the fallness of this book is enchanting me, honestly. But this book is split into 4 parts, 1 part per month that she's there, and I just finished October, and I loved it so much. The Halloween atmosphere was so stunning in it. It takes place almost entirely on Halloween night, and we're following Michelle as she is going out with Cliff and his 2 younger daughters out trick-or-treating. I loved the descriptions of the houses and all of the decorations. I loved hearing about all of the kids out trick-or-treating. It kind of felt like it was describing the perfect, like, nostalgic Halloween that you had when you were a child, and I just felt like I was there and I loved it so much. I've also really loved the relationship development that we've been getting between Michelle and Cliff. I feel like in this one they're definitely starting to open up to each other a little bit more. Michelle is very like closed off. She doesn't really like to talk about her feelings with literally anybody. She's not really close to a lot of people. But you can definitely see as the book is progressing, she is starting to get closer to Cliff, and she's starting to tell him a little bit more about her past and her previous relationship with her piece of trash husband, Alan. But I like that you can also see Cliff's facade start to crack a little bit as well, because he very much presents himself as this, you know, very jovial, funny, snarky kind of guy, but he definitely has a lot of insecurities around that, also kind of stemming from his previous relationship. So I like that we're getting to see a little bit more into them as people and kind of how the dynamic of this current relationship that they have going on is just far superior to any relationship that they've had in the past, and I just think they're so cute, honestly. I also really like that despite all of the like relationship stuff that's going on, we're also kind of following Michelle's personal struggle with the fact that her mom passed away at the beginning of this book, and she's gone to take over this B&B, and she's hearing about all of these people that absolutely loved her mother and how kind and giving and involved her mother was with all of these people in the town. But Michelle, when she was young, had a very different relationship with her mom. So it's definitely very hard for her to hear about, you know, how beloved her mother was when she just never really saw her mother the way that all of these random people saw her, which makes me so sad for her, honestly. But I just love the level of depth that these characters have. I know this book is 500 pages, which when I saw that this was a 500-page romance book, I was like, for what reason? But actually, I feel like it's working really well. I feel like it's really taking the time to not only like appreciate the atmosphere and talk about the town and all the people and all the fun stuff, but it's also taking the time to, you know, flesh out these characters and just make them seem so real, which I feel like is a kind of a problem that I have with some romance books. I feel like sometimes we just don't get enough of the characters and they kind of feel like they don't have a personality. But with this book, I feel like both Cliff and Michelle are very well-defined characters already, and I'm very interested to see what the second half of this book is going to hold. So I'm interested to see just how the relationship is going to develop as the book goes forward. I also absolutely love seeing Michelle with Cliff's kids. She's just so good with them, and you can definitely tell she's already kind of stepping into a almost parental role, which, given that they're not actually together, I'm like, interesting. But it is also really nice for these girls to have a very present female figure in their life because their mother kind of also sucks. So just overall, I'm really loving everything about this book. Obviously, it goes without saying that the fall atmosphere is so good. It's so good. Just everything about this book is so good so far. So I'm really interested to see if my thoughts are going to stay the same over the next 250 or so pages, but I feel like I'm gonna end up loving this and giving it 5 stars. So yeah, so it's going so well. Literally the perfect fall read, the perfect beginning of fall read. Oh, definitely gonna be reading some more of this today. I'd like to read all of November today, probably. I feel like that's doable. Yeah, probably like 100 or so pages. So that's gonna be my goal with this for today. But I do have another reading update because I have started another book. Am I currently in the middle of like 4 books? Yeah. I don't normally do this, but I don't know, I just kind of like, again, I want to read like everything right now. So I decided to go ahead and jump in to The Executioners 3 by Susan Dennard. I am really liking this one as well. Certainly not as much as I'm liking If It Makes You Happy. It's very YA, which is not a valid complaint coming from me. I do want to address that because it is a YA book. But there are just some things that the characters do that I'm like, oh man. Like there are some YA books that don't feel like too young. This one definitely feels a little bit on the younger side of YA, but I'm still having a really fun time with it. So like all is well. But in this book, we're following our main character, Freddie, and she lives in this really small, like kind of French inspired town. I don't know where this is actually. I don't know where this is supposed to be set, probably somewhere on the East Coast, but we're kind of following Freddie as, you know, she's living her normal life, doing things that teenagers in the 90s do, because both of these books are set in the 90s, which I think is very interesting. Both have made multiple NSYNC, Backstreet Boys references. This one definitely feels like it's trying a little bit harder to be set in the 90s. I feel like this one does it in a more like subtle way almost, but this one is kind of like, they have Nokias, the Backstreet Boys, all of these like 90s things. And I'm like, you know, it's kind of fun, but like, is it too much? But we're following Freddie as she kind of is getting involved in this prank war that's going on between her high school and this private school that are like in this area. It's very kind of cliche high school playing pranks on each other, trying to outdo one another. It's kind of like this not maybe centuries, but like decades old prank war that's been going on, and she has kind of found herself in the middle of it. She ended up getting a bunch of the other students arrested for underage drinking, so naturally, you know, the prank war has been ramped up a little bit. She didn't even do it on purpose, but she just ended up being like the prank master, and I'm like, sure girl, okay. But while all the normal like typical cliche high school stuff is going on, there's also this like weird murder that went on in the woods. Her and her friend Divya, I think, were walking in the woods one day and they found this person hanging from this incredibly tall tree. And despite what the police think, Freddie is adamant that this was a murder because this tree was like 40 feet up in the air or something crazy. So she's also kind of taking it upon herself to investigate this murder. Again, kind of like a very like cliche supernatural teen show plotline almost. This book very much reads like a typical supernatural teen TV show, which I'm always into that, so I'm having a good time with that. But she's kind of investigating that. There's also this like centuries old town legend or something that's going around called the Executioner's Three, and there's this poem that like goes through all of these things that portend the Executioner's Three coming back. And obviously these things are maybe starting to happen in the town. So weird things are going on. It's just weird happenings all around. Freddie is, you know, suspicious of a couple of things. She just recently recovered the Executioner's Three poem, and she's like, some of these things are seeming a little bit familiar. So I'm excited to see what the rest of this book holds. I've enjoyed it. It's not gonna be like, you know, a book that I absolutely love, but it's a really fun read for fall. I'm having a good time. I like the characters. Freddie also has a little bit of a love triangle situation going on with like, you know, the golden quarterback dude at school, and then the guy from the rival high school who she may be into, and she saw him actually, I forgot about this. She saw him dancing to a Backstreet Boys song once through the window, which is, I need more info on that. I need context for that because it was such a weird scene. But they have like a whole like Romeo and Juliet thing going on because obviously they're from like warring high schools and nobody can find out that like they might be into each other. And it's so dramatic, but in a very fun way. So that's how the Executioner's Three is going. I'm liking it. It's very fun. I also just love the title of this book, The Executioner's Three. How spooky is that? So there's that. Did I even say how far into this I am? I'm like 104 pages into it, so definitely have like 200 pages left. Probably gonna be reading, am I gonna read some of this today? I don't know. I might, because I do have other reading plans today. I'm thinking I might start The Phantom of the Opera today, just read a little bit of it. I feel like, you know, starting this on the first day of fall would be kind of thematically appropriate. And then I do have one other like small reading update for you. Because on sprints yesterday with my patrons, I did read the first chapter of Twilight. Just for fun. And now I'm kind of like, should I read more of Twilight? I don't know. I might do like a slow reread of Twilight over the course of the next month and a half or so. I'll probably get bored around the time all of the plot stuff starts happening. But for the vibes, I might reread the first part of Twilight just for fun. So, you know, I read the first chapter. It's so dramatic. It's so dramatic. But in the best possible way. It's been a couple years since I reread Twilight, so I might do that. Just for fun. It seems like a good fall thing to do. But as I said, it is, you know, currently the first day of fall, so I do have some things that I would like to do throughout the day to celebrate the changing of the seasons. I just love the first day of fall. So I'm thinking I'd like to make my fall TBR spread this morning. I have yet to do that, so I'm probably gonna do that very much in the same style of my spring and summer TBR spreads. So it's gonna be very scrapbooky, very maximalist, but that's kind of the vibe that I've been going for in my journal recently, so I'm gonna, you know, try to do that. I'm gonna watch the first 2 episodes of Over the Garden Wall. I don't wanna like binge it all today, but I'd like to start it just for the vibes, you know. I think I might also go to the library to do some reading just because I'd like to get out of the house. I feel like going to the library could be nice. And then aside from that, I don't really know what else I'm gonna get up to, but I will certainly show you if I do anything else of note. But happy fall, happy first day of fall. I'm so excited. Poppy is also so excited. She's been sitting here for the entire update. She just looks so pissed, but I'm certainly not. So I will see you guys later today, probably tonight, with an update on whatever reading I happen to do today. Alright, hello, good morning. It is a couple of days later, but I had the most stunning first day of fall. I had such a lovely Monday. I ended up making my autumn TBR spread, which I absolutely love. I went to the library to do a little bit of reading. Later in the day, I made some hot chocolate. I just had such a nice day, honestly. I also did pick up a fall leaf to commemorate the day. It's currently being pressed in my very heavy copy of it. This is like the most robust book I own, I think, so I thought it would be a good one to press the leaf in. But here she is, looking all flat. I also wrote the date on it. I want to like try to preserve this somehow. I might try to do that with like tape or something. Not the most aesthetic, but I kind of want to put it in my journal, so I'm just gonna put that back in the book now though. But aside from all that, I have some reading updates because I have finished 2 books since the last time that I talked to you. So we have a lot to chat about this morning. Let me start out with the book that I finished first because I did finish up The Executioners 3 on Monday. This was like my first day of fall read. And I really ended up enjoying this book. I feel like this book truly did hit its stride kind of around the midway point. The first part of the story is very much focused on, you know, the typical teen experience in Freddie's life and kind of just getting you acquainted with the town. But once Freddie gets more and more into the investigation of this weird poem and the weird murders that are happening around town and all of this stuff, it just became so much fun, honestly. As the book progresses, more and more bad things are starting to happen in this town, and Freddie is definitely taking notice. She kind of realizes that, you know, law enforcement isn't exactly looking into this to the extent that she wants them to. So she takes things into her own hands, even though everybody thinks she's a little bit crazy. I also think it's really funny that Freddie is a big X-Files fan. So one of like the major themes in this book is like, is this all supernatural stuff happening? Or is this just stuff that has an explanation that nobody's realized yet? And it kind of makes Freddie look like she's a little bit crazy at times. But even you as the reader are kept in the dark as to like whether or not these things are happening. I really like that feeling throughout the entire book because there were parts where I was like, is this just a mystery thriller? Is there gonna be like a real explanation for it? And then there were parts where I was like, oh no, like there's no way, but I just didn't really know until the end of the book, which I really enjoyed. But I also really loved the overall atmosphere of this book. It takes place entirely in October, and I feel like it's just full of these very dreary, gloomy days where Freddie is going around looking at weird things. There's a lot of time spent in the forest, and there are like weird things happening in the forest. And I just loved so many of the scenes of our characters like walking around, looking at weird things, appreciating the autumn foliage while also being very scared at the same time. And it was just a really fun time. It also did inspire me to listen to some NSYNC songs while I was reading this book because our main character Freddie really loves NSYNC, specifically Lance Bass. Now, prior to reading this book, I could only name 1 member of NSYNC, but now I can name 2. But it was just fun. I liked the 90s atmosphere. I like the spooky vibes. It very much feels, again, I'm gonna say it again, because it really feels like a typical supernatural teen drama kind of show in the best way, because there are weird happenings, there are unattentive parental figures, there's a little bit of romance going on, it's got the spooky vibes. I just enjoyed it a lot. I would say probably pick this up from the library if any of this sounds interesting to you, but the cover is also stunning, so like maybe pick up a copy because it's just so beautiful. Like, A+ for the cover design. Although that does remind me, there's one more thing I want to say about this book. I really loved the town that this was set in. It's a town with a lot of history to it. There's a lot of weird things that went on in the past in this town that people vaguely know about, but there's definitely a lot of it that's shrouded in mystery. That's another one of the main things that Freddie is investigating throughout the entirety of this book. She's starting to uncover more and more of this town's past, and there may be this like gruesome curse that has been on the town for centuries, and I love stuff like that, okay? Very much felt like this could have been set in like a Sleepy Hollow-esque kind of place, just an old town where weird things happen all the time. Again, I really like this book, and I'm just so happy that it was my first read of fall. But now that we've talked about that, we can actually talk about my second read of fall because I did finish up If It Makes You Happy yesterday. I read all of November and December yesterday, and I loved this book so much, honestly. I don't think it is going to be a 5-star read. I don't exactly know why it didn't end up being 5 stars, but it just doesn't really feel like it was a 5-star book for me. But I still absolutely love this, and if you like romance more than I do, and like as a genre, you'll probably really love this one. But the second half of this book was very emotional for our characters, honestly, because, you know, things are starting to develop in the romance, but Michelle has to leave at the end of December. So like, should they, shouldn't they? They're trying to sort that out, figure out what exactly they should do, what makes sense for the situation at present. I liked how realistic the romance felt in this one because it takes place over the course of like 4 months or so. And guys, when I tell you there is no insta-love in this book, it's so stunning. I'm so happy. But like so many romance books, I complain about it all the time. I'm sorry, but like I'm gonna say it again. So many romance books have insta-love in them and I'm like, boo, tomato, tomato. But in this one, I just feel like the build of their relationship was so believable. Throughout the book, you see them become friends, maybe even best friends. They kind of understand each other in a way that nobody's understood them before. And then still, even after that, it takes time for them to realize that they have feelings for each other. I'm talking like, you know, 400 pages into the book. And I'm like, yes, thank you. This is what I need. I just need more slow burn books, I think. Because it describes itself as a slow burn romance. And I would definitely corroborate that statement. Thank God, honestly. But I love the romance, and I did honestly, you know, I was tearing up a little bit at the end of the book, but it wasn't even anything that had to do with the romance. It was like something else that happened in the book, which I feel like is just a testament to how well balanced this book is, because even though it is primarily focused on the romance, it is also focused on a bunch of other relationships in Michelle's life, such as her relationship to her sister and her relationship to her parents, and just seeing those be so well fleshed out, and you understand so well where her issues with these stem from, and kind of seeing her overcome those in a way towards the end of the book was just so nice, honestly. There are just so many good aspects to this book. Again, I also loved Michelle's relationships with like everybody in the town as well. She's very closed off, very kind of standoffish at first, but like obviously, as you move throughout the book, she kind of warms up to them, they warm up to her, and it's just so lovely, honestly. I really, really loved everything about that. It seriously does feel like I'm reading an extended episode of Gilmore Girls, but like set in an alternate universe that's like kind of like Gilmore Girls, but not exactly like Gilmore Girls. One of the main things that I also really loved about this book was the structure. The concept of it taking place over the 4 best months of the year was so great, especially because in every single one of those months you are kind of focusing on the main holiday that is happening in them, aside from September, because like no major holiday happens in September unless you want to count my birthday at the end of September, which I do, but I don't think anybody else does. But I love that it took the time to focus on those holidays and what these characters were doing on those holidays, and honestly kind of felt like I was experiencing like a holiday episode of like a sitcom or a drama that I really like, but like 3 times in a row, I guess. So that was really great, and I loved the way that it framed the story, and I just really, really loved this romance book. If you guys want a perfect read for fall that's not like spooky or creepy or thrillery, mystery, whatever, if you're not into that but you want a good read for fall, truly look no further, because I just absolutely love this, and I feel like so many people will also really, really love this. I mean, I've already seen a bunch of people loving it, so like, take their word for it, take my word for it. You should pick it up. I have not read any more of the Once and Future Witches. I'm gonna read the rest of it. Am I that excited to read the rest of it though? I don't know. I've been back and forth on whether or not I want to DNF it, which, man, I just don't know. I have 200 pages left of this book, and I feel like I've already experienced too much of the story. I just feel like conceptually this book is great. I love what it's trying to do, but I wish it would have done it more succinctly, because the fact that it's like 500, oh my god, it's like 530 pages. Guys, I think I might have to DNF the Once and Future Witches. I just don't care, and I feel bad saying that. I'm probably just gonna strike this off my 2025 TBR. I feel like I gave it a fair chance. I really did, but I just simply am not interested enough to see what the rest of this book holds. But I will definitely be reading Alex E. Harrow's other books. I really want to read The Everlasting, which is coming out at the end of October, but this one just really isn't doing it for me, so I think I'm just gonna let it go. But I am, obviously, because I'm cutting that book out of this video, I have a different book that I would like to read instead, actually, and I'm thinking I might try to read all of this today, probably, because I do still have What Feasts at Night checked out from the library, so I feel like I should maybe read it. I decided to ditch the 24-hour readathon that I was going to film this month, so I'm like dispersing those books into like other videos because I still want to read those books. I'm probably gonna do a 24-hour readathon in October, but the one for September is being axed, but I still do really want to read What Feast at Night, so I'm thinking I might go ahead and read this today. This is the second book, I think. Is it like a direct sequel? Is it like a companion book? I'm not exactly sure, but I did read What Moves the Dead a couple years ago, and I liked the vibe. It wasn't a favorite book of mine, but I enjoyed it, so I decided to, you know, go ahead and pick this one up. So I'm thinking, why not just go ahead and read it? So I'm thinking I'm gonna do that today. So those are, you know, my reading plans sorted. Aside from anything else I'm gonna do, I have no idea. It is a stunning gloomy day though today. It was also such a beautiful day yesterday as well, just so much rain. So I think I might try to go for a walk in the rain later, but until then, I'm going to jump into some reading. So it's a couple days later, but I am back to give you guys some updates. I have a reading update. I also went book shopping, so I obviously want to show you the 2 books I got. Actually, let's start with these because I want to talk about them. Both of these books came out this month and I've been meaning to pick them up, so I'm so happy that I finally have them in my grubby little hands. So first of all, I have A Road Trip with a Vampire by Jenna Levine. This one I think came out last week maybe, and this is the 3rd book in Jenna Levine's sort of companion-ish romancy vampire-y series. I read the first 2 books over the last 2 years, so when I heard this one was coming out, I was so excited. I believe we're following a vampire who has lost his memories. Also, he's very much giving Damon Salvatore Tell Me He Is Not. Very into that. And I think we're also following a witch who has her own secrets, and they're apparently going on a zany cross-country road trip. Which honestly just sounds like everything I could possibly want in a book, you know what I mean? I really like the first 2 in the series. They are so ridiculous. They're so stupid at times. But in the best possible way, I really do enjoy books like that are just absolutely unserious. Like, every now and then I love an unserious book, and that is definitely what the books in the series provide me. So I'm very excited about this one. I cannot wait to read it. And then next up I have a, you know, not unserious kind of spooky romance book because Uncharmed by Lucy Jane Wood came out recently. Look how beautiful it is. Oh, I love the pink spine. I'm absolutely obsessed with the cover of this book. This is from the same author that wrote Rewitched, which I read last year and really enjoyed. And when I saw she had another one coming out, I was like, thank you. And I think this one's more so like a cozy, witchy kind of story. I actually don't know if there's romance in this? I don't know, but it says it has delightful friendships in it, so I'm always on board for that. So it says it's a warm and witchy autumnal delight. Thank you. That is everything I could possibly need, so I'm very excited to jump into this one as well. I think I'm gonna save this one for a little bit later into October, but I can't wait to jump into it because I feel like it's just going to be so lovely, honestly. So there's my little book haul. I desperately need to stop buying books. I bought so many books recently, but I simply could not buy these. So maybe I'll take like a little break. I don't know if I'm gonna take a break, but I'll think about taking a break from book buying, but obviously so happy to have these. And then I do have a final reading update for you because I did read the entirety of What Feast at Night. I think I read about half of this physically, and then I did switch to the audiobook so I could play some Animal Crossing because I got Animal Crossing about a year ago. I went through like 2 weeks where I played it nonstop, and I wanted to relive that fun time I was having a little bit, so I hopped back on. and I've been having a stunning time just keeping up things with my island. The trees haven't turned yet. I don't know when they turn. I think it might be like midway through October when they turn, but I might do a little bit of time traveling so I can just see the leaves turn now. Get a little bit of instant gratification. I wouldn't let myself do that last year, but now that I have already experienced the trees turning in Animal Crossing, I feel like it's less of a sacred experience, so might do that. But I have been, you know, trying to get more cat villagers. I'm currently at like 4 out of 10. I want so many more. I recently got one of the ugly birds moving into my island and I was low-key like a little bit upset about it, but it's fine, it's fine. Anyway, you guys didn't ask for an Animal Crossing update, but you got one anyway. But what feast at night? Let's talk about it. So I liked this one. I think I feel towards this one kind of how I felt about What Moves the Dead, which is I like the atmosphere, I like the vibe, but like the story itself, I was kind of like so on. You know, I feel like there are elements of it that I really like, but overall, was it the most captivating thing? I don't know. Honestly, I didn't really understand what the point of the story was for a decent amount of it. There's obviously like an overall plot, but I feel like in the beginning it was a bit aimless feeling almost. But we're following our main character, Alex Easton, who was a soldier in, you know, some war that happened recently in this world. This kind of feels like it takes place in our world, but like a slightly alternate version of our world, I guess I would say. But in this one, we're following our main character as they're moving back to kind of their hometown. They get back to this like hunting lodge that their family used to own, or they still own it. They're going back to the hunting lodge, basically. And they find out that this man in the village who previously kind of had a hand in helping Alex get over some of the PTSD that they were experiencing from the war. They find out that this man died, but they can't figure out how this man died. So, you know, they're going around trying to figure things out. They're asking people in the town, like, what happened? And everybody's like, I don't know, basically like not giving them an answer at all. So I think that's like the main thing that we're focused on, which is kind of interesting. It's like pseudo murder mystery, not really, but like there's that mystery element to it. One of the things that I did really like about this book was the fact that it was pulling from a lot of different folk tales. There were a lot of different superstitions in this area that Alex would recount to you as the reader every now and then, which I always enjoy a book with folklore elements to it. I also really liked the atmosphere and setting of this book. This kind of takes place in late autumn, I believe. It's that time of year when most trees have lost their leaves. There are a few hangers on, but for the most part, it's starting to look a little bit desolate. You can definitely tell we're moving into winter. I feel like it really captures that late November, early December, dreary, barren vibe really well, which I liked a lot, and I feel like it added to this very mysterious, spooky atmosphere that the book had going on the whole time. It also focuses on the impact of the war on Alex and kind of diving into the PTSD that they are experiencing, and I really liked how that was kind of tied into the horror elements as this book went on as well. I also do enjoy the characters in this book quite a lot. Alex is a really kind of funny and snarky main character to follow. There's also this English woman who is coming to stay with them whose name is Mrs. Potter. She is literally like supposed to be Beatrix Potter, basically. Or like, she's supposed to be some relation of Beatrix Potter, I think. But I love her. She's a mycologist. She played a pretty large role in What Moves the Dead, and she's kind of more so in here as like a background character, but she just sheds some light on some things every now and then to help our characters out. So I like the characters in this book series, I guess. I think they're fun. It's just the plot overall wasn't like my favorite thing. I'd say like, you know, it's like a 3-star vibe. Like if I was gonna rate it, I didn't hate it. It was a good time, and I'm glad that I read it, but would I go out and be like, oh my god, like you guys need to read this book? No. But if you want like a good atmospheric short read for fall, then maybe I would recommend. I liked, you know, the vibe a decent amount. And honestly, for the books that I like to pick up this time of year, vibe plays a big role in my enjoyment, so I feel like, you know, this kind of hit what I was wanting it to. I do think there's another book coming out in this series, the Sworn Soldier series. Where is my phone? I want to figure out what it's called. It's like white. It's got like a dead bear on the cover or something. The cover of these books are grotesque, honestly. Okay, well there's a third book coming out in the series. I looked it up. I think it comes out like end of September. Maybe like 2 days after I'm posting this video. So whatever that one is called, I might see if I can get it from the library. Maybe I should put a hold on it now, actually. Hang on, I'm gonna go get my phone. It is called What Stalks the Deep. It does have a nasty dead bear on the cover. Can I get a hold on it? We'll see. I feel like this would be a good October read if I can get it in October. 6 on order, 5 on hold. That's what I'm talking about. Beautiful. So I'll read that one in October or November. I don't know. So there's this one. Not a whole lot to it, but I enjoyed it for what it was. And those are all the books that I'm going to be finishing in this video. I know I read a little bit of Phantom of the Opera and then never told you anything about it, but I read like a chapter of it. So I think I'm going to be saving that for October primarily to like actually start talking about it more. I don't have enough to say about it at this point in time, but I think I want to start it early October and hopefully read it you know, like throughout October. So more updates on that to come. No good updates on Phantom of the Opera happening in this video, and I'm sorry. But I still feel like I've read some really good books in this video. I mean, you know, some of them not so much because I did DNF one of them, and I have already sold it. Don't want to see Once in Future Witches again in my house. But I did finish 3 books that I really, really enjoyed. So I feel like this was a pretty successful video. I feel like this was a successful start to my fall reading, my first 3 reads of fall. Love them. First, I finished The Executioners 3. Honestly, just such a fun time. Such a good YA thrillery mystery kind of story. Then I finished If It Makes You Happy. Solid fall romance, would recommend if you are in the market for a fall romance book. And then I finished this one. So 3 good books, 3 books that I really enjoyed, and we have reached the end of this video. So I really hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with me over the last week. I hope you enjoyed spending the first days of fall with me. I've had such a nice time so far, and I cannot wait to get into whatever else I'm gonna get up to this fall. But obviously I'll show you all of that throughout October, and I cannot wait. Before we go, I also would like to thank everybody over on my Patreon. If you are ever looking for more content from me, that is always linked down below. But with that, I'm gonna let you go. Again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're all having an amazing Monday, or whatever day it is that you are watching this video. And I will see you all in my next one. Bye!